Hello everyone, it is Christine here. I'm in beautiful Bright on holidays, sun is shining, there's a little bit of cloud in the sky. Travis is having his little early lunch outside and I thought I would share with you the work that I'm doing on my heirloom family vintage quilt that is on a blanket that my partner's mum brought all the way from Hungary with her after the war. And I'm adding all sorts of pieces that represent my family, so both of the family on my partner's side but my family as well. And I've been working on this section, which is particularly for my mum. It's next to my dad's section, which has the beehive piece. And since the last episode where I was talking through some of the materials that I'd brought away and some of my pieces that I needed to add on, I also shared with you, I think, the tablecloth, which I have tea dyed, cut in half, and I've used that. Let me just swing around. I've added that to the top of the blanket, so the whole front of the blanket is now covered in the lace, so you can see it's a round tablecloth that I cut in half, and so it's got the beautiful sort of scalloped, not scalloped, but yeah, sort of rounded edge coming down, and I've overlapped it in the middle section. And then we come down to where I've been laying out the pieces. So this is the beehive piece, and this is Travis coming a tapping around. I know some of you, your dogs hear Travis tapping around and come and have a bit of an investigate. He's having an investigate of what Mum's doing. But I've added pieces above and next to where I have my dad's beehive section. I've made this, well, I had this in my little kit already. I think I've made it at Christmas time. It's got the same fabric which I'm using further down for the stained glass for my mum, but I've stitched mum on it and dad on it, and it's going to sit right sort of across the two sections that are mum and dad, so I thought that was lovely. I've also taken a little Kath Holden label and put it on this little scrap of fabric that I had from one of my charm squares, which I'd used, I think, did I use this for one of the blossom border pieces for Roxy's Journal of Stitchery? That's Travis having a drink over there, if you can hear that. And I've stitched on green thumb because, as well as having the chooks when I was growing up, Mum has always and still is very much a green thumb in the garden. So I've also got this beautiful vintage rose cut out piece of a piece of vintage linen. I've added some lovely doilies. I just adore this particular doily down here. I'm using the swing arm on my camera stand, so hopefully it's a bit less wobbly than last time. It doesn't give me as much flexibility of movement, but pretty good movement. And then I've got this beautiful lacework doily over here with the flowers, so I thought that went perfectly with the flower theme. I had some fabric that had these little roosters and hens on them. We generally didn't keep roosters when we were, at Mum generally only had the chooks, but sometimes we raised chickens, so we did end up with roosters. They usually headed off to my Uncle Tim's farm, so I don't mind having the roosters in. In fact, I'm reflecting on this, which I've said is the chook down here, but I think it looks a bit more like a rooster, so I don't know if I'm going to have to do some augmentation to the tail to make it a bit more hen or chook-like. So I've added quite a few of those little roostery chooky things. I do love this little string of, this came off a larger doily that has lots of these tiny little doily bits on it. I'll probably end up adding something on the end because I generally have sort of groups of 5, but I liked the fact they were sort of, coming across the piece here. I've used another Kathy Holden label that says home because this was very much where I grew up with Dad, keeping his bees, Mum with her chooks, and we always had a menagerie of animals. Got this lovely piece of vintage floral ribbon across here. This one reminds me of the gigantic pine tree that is out the back of Mum and Dad's house in the park behind them. It's huge. So I thought I'd put this little piece on. And as you can see, hopefully, I've started stitching down the pieces in the lower part of the piece. The ones up here are still pinned. But I thought today I can show you how I'm stitching it down where I can where I can just stay on the front of the fabric. So I'll probably show you down this section how I'm doing that. And then I thought we might do some augmentation of this section down here. So I've added this beautiful lacy piece. Again, it reminds me of the garden, and I just thought it kind of has some of the tones of the beehive as well. Added this piece of vintage trim, and these 2 buttons are my Nana's buttons, and I've always been wanting to use them on something associated with Mum as well, and I just thought they were perfect for the little garden theme, and they just finish off this little braid piece beautifully. Got this piece of vintage tapestry-like fabric with a garden scene, even though it's got some more oranges and some more sort of pinky purples. I'm not too fussed, and I can always do some stitching in, and we might even do that today, just to add some more maroony highlights. That's what I'm going to do down here where I've got the pink. I'll probably just add a bit more of the maroon colours just to link to the wider piece. But as you can see, I've still got various bits of pink here and there. I'm just going to have a sip of tea. Excuse me, I've still got my little tickle cough, mostly gone away. I haven't actually taken an allergy tablet today, so I probably should do that because it does make it fully go away. And I've been stitching around, and we can probably do that over on this wrister over here. I'm just using a beautiful vintage thread for that. I was just looking through my little stash of goodies that I've brought away. I've got this cut off bit of trim, and I thought that might be nice even to use part of that down here, just sort of over this section. I could even possibly put some down here as well if I wanted, but sometimes it's nice just to have it in one part, but I thought that could be lovely. So we might do that as well. Oh, and I was going to show you. Went into Myrtleford yesterday, where normally I get a heap of stuff from the op shops. I only ended up getting a few items, but let me just show you them. And this one is particularly a good item. It was very discoloured in the shop, which wouldn't have worried me if it stayed discoloured. I'm not fussed, but I'm thinking I can use this, and it's making my camera sort of flash a bit. The camera's not loving it, but I could use this on the back of the piece. It's got these beautiful sort of flocked flowers on it. Let me stick my hand under so you can see it a bit better. And what I'm thinking on the back, and a few of you have suggested that I should capture the stories of this piece, and I'd always been planning to put some family photos printed on fabric on the back and other things, but I'm thinking I can do similar to what I did further over on the piece where I had the sampler sitting underneath the lace, and then I cut out parts of the lace so you could see directly through to the sampler. I think I'm going to do that on the back, and I'll use this piece. I think I'll end up taking this back a bit with a bit of tea dyeing. So it's funny, I've removed all the stains by washing it, and now it is going to be taken back to a slightly stained colour. But I just think that will be really, really lovely. And I love that these are a bit raised up because I want this work to be tactile as well. I don't want it to be a museum piece. I want it to be on the wall and something that people will come up and really look at. So that was a bargain. I think that was a few dollars. At that same op shop, where are my other, I'm having a little look where my other pieces are. There they are. I also got just 2 little lacy handkerchiefs. They're not ironed, they've just been washed. So, or that's probably a little tray cloth, and it's got just some little embroideries on it. So I usually get those when I see them. And then I was pretty pleased with this. 3 of these lovely ones, and quite often you get them with the pinky, but this is a really nice reddy sort of colour. So these are just great to have these. I've got quite a few different versions of these in my collection, but it's just, yeah, lovely applique fabrics, and then some little simple stitching. At that same first op shop in Myrtleford, I just got this tin. It's probably just like an IKEA tin, not particularly old, but thought it was a very attractive colour, and I can pop that on my little trolley to keep some things in. I also got this one, which I thought at first was just the pattern, but it actually has still the cloth in it as well, which is printed with the design. So it's called My Favourite Things. Let's see if we can squeeze it out. I love that these ones, they actually put a photo as part of the cover. It's, yeah, just very obviously made in smaller quantities. Still got the instructions, and it's got a printed piece of cloth. And so it says, these are a few of my favourite things: sewing, patchwork, pins and needles, buttons, scissors, lace, embroidery, and then it's got work to buy where you can put your name. So I thought I will probably stitch into these and add them to this piece around as well. Whether I keep them all, I don't think I'll keep it as a full panel. I think it'd be nice to kind of just scatter these around, possibly around where I've got my sewing section. Can we see my sewing section over there? We can see a little bit of it, the creating section. I could, yeah, have it over in that area. So I thought that was quite a goodbye, sorry, hope I didn't make you dizzy as I brought you back very rapidly, back around that way. So I think that was $2, which is great. Also got these yarns, 4-ply, which is a good weight to sew with, and they are cotton, 100% cotton. And of course, being the op shops, they're very well packaged up, but let's just take a little looky inside. So yeah, nice sort of muted green and an almost a mushroomy colour, and they feel really lovely. They've never been used, so that was a good find. And finally, very pleased with this one. This was I think $1, which was great. It's so soft. It's a beautiful, beautiful cotton. It's a sheet. I think it's just single bed size, but I love that it is in this patchwork style. It's beautiful, beautiful greens. So I think I'll get a lot of use out of it. Just, it is lovely. And so soft and so well worn. Very happy with that one. Oh, and I got this little scarf. It's very wrinkled because it's been in the dryer. Probably will wear this one because it's just a nice thin scarf with a nice floral design, and I do tend to wear a lot of black, so that could be very good for that. So let's bring you around, and I might bring you down, probably not too much actually. And then let's, I'll show you how I'm doing a sort of a stitch to start to hold the pieces down, and then let's come over here, do some stitching, and we can also do some stitching around this hen over there. So I'll sit down. So my thread is caught under my camera stand, there we go. So I've just got a needle threaded up, and let me just double check that you can see, yes. And so I've already been just stitching down here. So what I'm doing is just where I want to just tack things down, I'm just taking my needle in and then popping up a bit further up without having to go through to the back of the fabric and then come through to the front. So I'm just angling my needle and just doing the sort of tacking down stitches. So with a long stitch on the back, and I'm not worried about those stitches on the back because I'm going to be covering it with the lace, or either if it's not that lace curtain, I'm pretty sure that curtain is going to fit it. I've got a very big crocheted tablecloth or bedspreads. I've got a few of those, I think. So that will be the other option. So you won't be able to see the threads on the back. I think they'll just add some interest if you see any bits of the colour through the piece. And because I'm then going to be also collaging in printed bits of fabric with our family photos and history and things like that, won't be a problem. So with these printed fabrics, I'm just angling my needle so it comes up in one of the white spots. I'm not hitting the table or anything underneath, otherwise I probably would want to have something underneath it, but it's good just having the table because it means I'm not going to stitch any tablecloth or anything like that. I'll angle my way down here because I'm planning to come back on most of these pieces and add sort of further embellishments, whether it's a button adding on or some stitching into it. So really at this stage it is just about tacking things down and getting them to hold into place. And this is already holding quite well because it's got the chicken holding it in place as well. Sometimes it can be a bit hard to get it to come through, especially when you're going through quite a few different layers. And I think I had on this beehive piece, I did actually have some like fusible interfacing, double-sided interfacing, so it does make the pieces feel a bit gummy. I actually much prefer using my Yoo-hoo stick, which is actually, I looked it up, it's acid-free, it's washable, so it is actually a really good fabric glue, I think. In that, yeah, and it doesn't make it stiff and it doesn't make it sticky like the interfacing does tend to do. So I won't go too much further up here at this stage. I'll just... So yeah, definitely harder when you've got the multi-layers and the interfacing in it. So I'll just take that thread. I can tie that one off at the back a bit later on or continue on off camera. So let me just leave that one down there. Let's just make sure you can still see well. Yes, I am enjoying my new stand. It's very solid, very good. Just sits on the table, so as long as I'm not kind of rocking the table too much, but this is a very, very solid table as well. I'll show you how I'm doing the stitching. Will I around there? Yeah, we'll do a little bit of the chicken over here. Probably not the whole chicken, maybe the chicken. Got my scissors. So this is a beautiful vintage thread. It's on a beautiful roll, but I thought it was a lovely brown colour. Actually, I might use, I have been also using my milliner's needle for some of the finer stitching. So this is like a beading needle. Although you can get actual beading needles, but yeah, the milliner's needles are nice and thin. And a bit more flexible as well. Hang on, is that? I don't think I did actually pick up. No, that's my milliner's needle. I was like, that one doesn't seem to have the flex. Let's just put that back in my little pin cushion. I'm loving my little over the couch pin cushion that is and little hanging pocket thing. I've just got it hanging off the trolley because I've also got it sitting on a coat hanger that I did a decorated coat hanger cover for. So Travis is having an after lunch snooze for him. Not quite yet lunchtime for me yet. So I thought I'd come on and do some stitching. Probably won't post this until tomorrow or the next day. It is Thursday here at the moment, but I've done my Thrifty Thursday video, even though I got a few more Thrifty finds after that. There's a few more op shops for us to visit while we're up here. Alex has gone up for a ski today. Unfortunately, his friend had a bit of vertigo, so they couldn't come up with him. So for these ones, I am actually coming through from the back of the piece, just because I want to do sort of closer together stitches. So I am actually just trying to follow the line of the actual pattern, so the feet. And I've just left a little margin of fabric around when I cut them out. So they're just raw edge applique. But yeah, the angling stitch wouldn't work as well here because I'm wanting to actually get a greater density. It's not just kind of tacking, I'm wanting to really hold these pieces quite firmly down. But the milliner's needle's nice and sharp and does do a very good sort of precise job. And the blanket's just so beautiful to stitch into, it's not hard at all. It's really where I've got that, yeah, that fusible interfacing. I think I will just stick to using my Yoo-hoo glue. That's what I've used further up the piece, just to temporarily attach these, as well as having some pins. But when I'm stitching into them, I prefer to have the Yoo-hoo because it holds them nice and flat, whereas the pins sometimes can create a bit of buckling with it. So thank you for all the lovely comments that you left on the video where I was sort of sharing an update on this piece and talking about plans for the piece. I'm just so enamoured with it and just really happy with this section for Mum. I just think it encapsulates her really, really well. And I think I'm going to add more of the sort of the stitched text just to give those little clues to what the sections are about. So I like that I've got the Mum and Dad bit up above. And I think above that will then be my brother and myself. I'll probably do a section for. I've already got the creating piece that's a shared section sort of with Nana and myself and my mum as well. Mum's always been into all sorts of crafts as well. So I like that some of the sections can be sort of for many of us in the family. Even my brother, he's really quite handy and always collecting things to either to fix or to make things out of. But I'll be doing a sort of a horsey themed section for my brother and his family because they love their horses. I'll have to check the names of all the horses. I might have to stitch those on in thread as well. But the good thing is when I'm doing that, I can work on the pieces like with the green thumb piece that's further up that you probably can't see right now. I just, stitch that off this piece and then I'll be, stitching down the piece of fabric that it's on. So I'm just working my way around. Hopefully I am on camera. Yes, just. It's hard with a piece this huge. If I had you fully, well, I don't think I'd even be able to get you fully zoomed out so you could see it all, but you wouldn't be able to see any of the detail of the stitching. So I could have used a black thread for the border sort of piece, but I just like that this is kind of just outlining it and just softening it. This is definitely going to be a labour. It's not going to be a labour, but a labour of love in the sense of there's going to be a lot of stitching that goes into this piece. But I'm really happy to be back on it. In fact, I think I have been neglecting my field notes pieces because every evening and even when I've had the spare time during the day here, I've just been working on this. But it's such a good opportunity because there's this huge dining table, whereas our dining table at home. We normally have that set up for meals because we do working from home most of the time. We eat our meals together at the dining table, so I don't like having to strip everything off, and that's downstairs as well, which is where Alex works downstairs. I work upstairs with my craft room as well. So I might need to make a bit more space in my craft room, I think, when I get back to be able to have this properly laid out. If that was my phone dinging or if Alex has left one of his phones here and that's dinging. Could be his iPad as well. So hopefully he's having a nice day up the mountain. We've had quite a lot of winds here in Victoria. It's been quite wild down in Melbourne. I think very sadly someone got crushed in a car under a branch that fell down. And I think they're saying there'll be another lot of winds that come through, but it's turned into a beautiful, beautiful day here today. So hopefully it's a bluebird day up the mountain, which is what they call it when it's all blue skies and sort of sunshine. But yeah, the snow had melted a fair bit with the rains a little bit before we came up. So, but seeing Alex had already bought his ski pass for the season, he wanted to at least get some skis in. So yeah, he's up there by himself today. Hopefully he's all good. I can't worry about him too much. He's got to go off and do his things. And it's good. He does have his insurance policy in his heart, which is his defibrillator that he had fitted. When was that last? Was that earlier this year, last year? I've lost track of. It's been a bit of an eventful year, hasn't it? I'm just going to pick up this little bit to bend it. So if you've got a straight stitch but you want it to kind of bend around a design and you put it in, you can just come back and essentially couch it down by picking the thread up. So I'm taking my needle underneath the thread and pulling it back and then putting a little stitch back down through your fabric, which will give you a bend. So now it's sort of, yeah, bending the way I want it to. So that's probably enough of watching me do this section of it. So I just again leave the thread sitting at the back and I can come back and finish this. I'll just do this last stitch here. And I'll just leave that there. So that's that done. And then I'm thinking we can work into this piece down here. Let me just check that we are all, yep, we're nicely on camera. Hopefully you can see the wrister that I was stitching into. You might not be able to. Let me just zoom in and so you can see where I've done the stitches. No, that's not going to work because when I zoom in, the camera is not in the right actual place. So I'll show you anyway at some point. I'm sure when this is all finished, you'll be able to see the detail of it. So now I want to move on to this section and do some stitching into it. I think I'll keep my... No, I won't keep my milliners because I want to use some wool, I think. So will I even use... No, that one's going to be too big. I think I'll just use this needle. I've got this, which I think is an acrylic wool possibly, but it's a vintage. I think they're... What are they for? Are they for punch needle or something else? Can't remember. I got them as a sort of a second-hand kit, I think from the Sewing Lair. I've got them in all different colours, but I thought this maroony colour would be quite good. Sounds like someone's doing some works outside, are they? I think someone's blowing some leaves down the pathway. So what I thought I'd do is come in and do some stitches along the stem, along here. And here I probably will be able to kind of angle my way through a bit. I've already tacked this piece down with invisible stitch, but this will just help to sort of hold it down more in the centre as well. I can probably, yeah, as I'm doing it, I'm thinking, I think I'll probably do a wrapped whipped stitch. I think if I do a back stitch and then come back and whip it, maybe that would be good. So I'm doing my sort of backwards forwards stitch, which is what I tend to do when I'm doing a back stitch. And the whipping will just sort of soften it a little bit, like it'll take away any harsh lines from it. And really, yeah, the sky's going to be the limit on how much I embellish this, and it'll just be, yeah, how long I want to kind of work on it. I do have a purpose that I'm planning it for, which requires me to have it done by next year. So that will be my sort of, yeah, my working deadline. I think that's February that I'd need to have it done. But it doesn't mean in the future I can't add more things to it, I suppose. But yeah, my first mission will be to kind of get the front all covered with all the pieces, which I think will probably, yeah, take a good few months. And where are we now? We're August, aren't we? No, sorry, yeah, August, but this weekend we are September, aren't we? My goodness. How can that be? So September, October, November, December, 4 months until the end of the year. So really, February, so sort of 5 months. Okay, Christine, you're gonna have to be working it. I might not even actually need to whip it. It's got a nice, although it will help to just soften those. Let's have a think. So I'll bring that back up to there. Now, do I want to do some little, yeah, let's do some little lazy daisies as well for the leaves up here, I think would be nice. So just like a little part of a daisy, little petal, but a good little leaf stitch as well. Oops. And then we'll do another one down here. So bringing the needle up through the loop to create the little lazy daisy stitch. Don't want to pull them too tight, otherwise they become more sort of, yeah, narrow little loops. So again, this shows you don't need to have everything, all your fabrics exactly the same sort of, yeah, colourway. You can even have things like pinks and oranges coming in, and then, yeah, you can stitch into it just to do a bit of that colour changing effect. So when I am angling it through, I am actually catching the blanket underneath as well, which will just help to anchor this piece of fabric down as well. Oops, just unthreaded. That leaf got a bit more loosened up. Travis is coming around to see what's going on, looking out the front door. I think he's like, what are they doing outside, Mum? Travis, no barking. No barking. Travis, come here. Good boy. Good boy. You come over to Mama. I know they're doing stuff in the outside, but it's not on the property. And it's not your property anyway, Travis. It's someone else's house. He's having a look at the tin that I put on the lower bit of the trolley. He's like, this wasn't here before, Mum. We'll have to close the front door if you're going to do woofing, Travis. No woofing. Just watch, Bubble. They're allowed to be there. He does have a very, very serious bark, our Travis, when he wants to bark at things. It's a loud, as you heard, a loud woof. I think I'll need to get another piece of the wool. I don't know, you probably can't see him. He's just sticking his head up looking at what Mum's doing. He's like, Mum, what you doing? What you doing? You're talking to your people again, Mummy. So I don't know where they are. They're those people that you talk to. He's got his head on my lap. Give him a nice little pat. A Travis pat. Everyone sends you love, Travis. Lots of people that watch the video, they say, what a lovely boy you are. Yeah, they do. Little do they know. No, that's not true, Travis. You're a very good boy, aren't you? Okay, will we also, while we're at it, will we maybe do, what would we like to do around these ones? Maybe we'll just do some little stitches up across the petals. There he goes, tippity, tappity, tippity. We've got wood floors at home, but they're hardwood, thick floors, so he doesn't tend to tap, tap, tap as much on those, but these ones are, I think, a floating floorboard here, so they're a lot more tappy. So, maybe I'll start with these outer ones. So I think someone was asking in one of my other videos how I'm going to work the middle section, but I think I'll be able to kind of roll up the sections that are worked on like this, and then just still be working underneath where I need to, or just doing that top work like I showed you. It'll just be mainly having a surface that sort of can hold it comfortably and hold it flat. So you don't always have to follow the exact design, like these are sort of straight lines that aren't in the design. I thought it might be just nice to have them sort of radiating around. And again, where it's got the pink, it will just help to make it sort of, yeah, tie in with the colour scheme. I don't want it all to look sort of so samey, so I don't mind having other little, colours pop in. I decided not to put that big chook piece, hen piece that I got, the big tapestry, because I just felt it might overwhelm. It was kind of much bigger than these like individual pieces that I've got, so I thought I'll keep that for another project, maybe a bag or something. Could make a nice bag for my mum actually. It's her birthday next week as well, so maybe I can make a bag for her. Definitely probably got enough supplies here that I could make her a bag. So such fun when you kind of get to this, this embellishing stage. I don't mind doing the stitching down, it is quite relaxing as well, but the embellishing is when I think the creative part of the brain really starts to fire. But sometimes when you're doing the stitching down, that's when you're also thinking about things and adding and rearranging. But it just starts to make these fabrics your own as well. And I just love that there's very few things on this piece that are new, like this, the charm square that I've got at the back, the little scrap of charm square, that was, a recent purchase. But everything else I'm looking at on here, even these threads are all second hand, so it's just very much a reclaimed vintage piece. Like some of these trims are probably very old because they've come second hand to me, and they've probably been in someone's stash for a long time before that. And even some of these laces that I've tea dyed, they've come from bridal supply stores, that they're offcuts. These little scraps of doily, they would have been stained pieces of linen, again picked up second hand. Even these fabrics, I think that one's from the sewing layer, so second hand. It's pretty rare that I buy new fabrics. The odd charm packs and some of the Moda French General are probably the main things that I have bought. In fact, there is some French General on the beehive piece. And it was kind of that originally inspired the colour scheme for this piece, the Burgundy Bonheur. But just such a great place to put my treasures. And yes, will definitely be a piece that we put on display at home. But I'll keep you posted on my other little plan. I kind of want to make sure first that I can get it finished, and then I'll keep you posted on what's planned for it as a little initial opportunity. He's back to check the door. He's heard someone opening or closing a door. He's like, I've just got to go and check, Mum. It's okay, Travis. They're just doing some work outside. It's a beautiful large front garden here. It's not fenced. It's fenced on one side, but not fenced at the driveway. But Travis can sort of trot around it under supervision, but we wouldn't want him to go herring off after a rabbit or something. But they're doing some works on the other side of the fence. I don't know if it's the council land or if it's the people that are on the other side. It's okay, Travis. You don't have to do all noises. It's all right. They're just doing some work, Travis. He's having a think about that. He's like, okay, Mum, I think that's allowed. You can hear their voices as well. He's quite a sociable boy. He probably wants to go off and meet them, but I don't know if they want to meet you, Travis. Might do some French knots in the centre, I think. Do some 3, give them a bit of texture. For French knots, you generally want to use a needle that's sort of pretty much straight up and down. This one's pretty good. I remember when I used to be scared of doing French knots. I've done so many in my time that they don't scare me now. I'm very much more a French knot than a colonial knot girl though. It's just sort of I naturally gravitate towards the French knots. So yeah, this morning we went for a beautiful walk along the river, along part of the canyon walk on the other side of the river. I did take some footage, whether I'll add it to this video or another video. I might even put up a little short I took at the river as well. Oops, there's a little white piece of hair or fur or something caught in it. Might be a thread actually, because it was quite strong, so maybe a piece of nylon or something. I think I've already stitched quite a bit of Travis fur into things. I'm always picking it off, so that's good. In the future when they can bring us all back to life, they'll be able to bring Travis back, and then I'm sure there'll be some blood from my finger on this at some point, if not already on some of the pieces that I've forgotten about. Just do another knot over here. Then I thought we could add some beading to this as well. Again, I will have to make sure as I sort of carry on that I'm continuing to stitch down enough pieces and not getting just lost in the geeking out stage, as Fleur would call it, Fleur Woods. But as I say, this is so much fun doing this sort of a stage. Could have done that with a different colour, like a gold in the middle, but that's okay. So I'll tie that off on the back, give that a little snippy-doo. Even on holidays I end up with quite an orts jar. Let's put that over there. Now I've got my little tin, little Langham Melbourne, which is a hotel in Melbourne. I was lucky enough for a while, I had a membership to it was just their hotel, pool and gym facilities, but they offered memberships as well, and so I used to go there every morning and do my morning swim and do a bit of exercise, and then with the membership I had, they'd also bring me a breakfast, and often with my breakfast I got a little tin of mints as well, so I've got lots of these little Langham mint tins. When COVID struck, that all sort of ended, and now they don't actually offer memberships, but given we live a bit out and I'm not going into work every day, I probably wouldn't have a membership anyway. But it was very affordable. It was actually cheaper than having a membership to the Melbourne City Baths at the time. So, and with the bonus of getting a little cooked breakfast, which kept me motivated, because I'm food motivated, a bit like Travis really. Now I'll need to change to my beading / milliner's needle. Let me just put this one in the pin cushion. So I've got some green threads. I thought we might put some green beads where those little bobbles are in the design. Oops, is there a knot? Oh, there's a little knot in the thread. That's unusual. Can I pull it out? No. So we'll use that as the knot down the other end. I was wondering why the needle wasn't moving along. Come on, thread. We managed it on the other end, so there we go. Now, where's the little knot down this end? There it is. Okay, use that as that knot. So we've got a little bobble down here. Now I'll just do a stitch, sort of a back stitch here, just to start it off. Why have I already got a little loop in it? There we go. Don't need a loop before we've even begun. So I've got two different colours of greens. I've got this sort of more, I think I'll use these slightly bigger ones. And I'll do the double going through the beads just to hold them in place and make sure they're nice and sturdy. And then I'll put the extra little stitch in on the back too, I think, maybe just to be sure. just do a little knot which will just hold each of these extra secure, and then I'll head over to here. Another, oops, I picked up 2 beads. I only need 1 green. So I just put a mix of different beads in. These are sort of like a Christmassy mix. They've got golds and greens and reds. I did think I might do some Christmassy craft while I'm up here too. We shall see. It's still only the first week. Both Alex and I were saying yesterday we feel like we've been here for a week already, or even more than that. So it's been very relaxing. It is such a beautiful part of Victoria. In all weather, even when it's sort of rainy and drizzly, it's still, the mountains get all misty and it does look lovely. I didn't do my extra stitch on the back, but that's okay. I can always come back and put some stitches over them at the back. Definitely not as dexterous with my left hand when I try and sort of, thread through with that. Next I'll do that now. So put in just a little knot to hold that one, and I'll do that over here as well, just to be sure. Okay, and then we'll pop over to here. How are we going for time? I've kind of lost track of where we're up to. 46 minutes. I have to have a think of what else I might want to do, whether I want to do some stitching into those ones over there as well. I said we might put a bit of that braid down, so maybe we'll do that in the last bit, because you probably don't need to watch me doing so much beading. I just wanted to kind of give you some ideas if you're doing something similar. Some folks said, oh yeah, I don't kind of know as much how to put different fabrics and things together, so kind of giving you the ideas of that, but then also how to embellish. Really anything goes, just do the things that please your eye. We're all going to have different things that please our eyes, and ultimately these are pieces for ourselves. Sometimes we make pieces as gifts, but if we can please our own eyes, then we'll probably please other people's as well. So that's the beading. Whether I'll probably potentially maybe do some other stitching into the green, but I might just stick to probably doing the maroon coloured where the pink is, and on the flowers, probably on the middle of these leaves, doing the beading throughout. But we can pop the beads away before we spill them, and then let's grab this little bit. Where's my nice big skizzers? So I think do I want to have that bit? Do I want that bit there? Do I want to make that like a little bit coming out from here? Wonder. Let's have a go. Now let's just make sure there's no stitches at the back that will cut through when we do this. Then, so that's coming out there. Coming down, and I think I'll only bring it down just to where the pine cones are. So maybe to about there. So again, keep these little, even if you're using it and part of a design, but you've got other little lovely stitchy bits, even the linens themselves, if they have no embroidery on them, it's such lovely, often it's such lovely fabric as well. So because it's a bit uneven down there, I think I'll just cut it here as well. I'll even save those little pieces. So we could either have it come up like this, or have it the way I originally planned, coming down like this. What do we think? Oops, it jumped. Stuck to my finger and jumped. Do we like that little embellishment? Or would we like it somewhere else? Possibilities, possibilities. Do I want it on this little corner piece? Hopefully you can still see up there. Do I want to maybe use just a single piece down here? Or do I want to have it come down this side? Have to put it underneath where the chook is. I quite like the stitching I've done down there. Maybe it doesn't. Does it need it? What do we think? Yes, no. I'm not totally loving it there, so it may be one that we save for something else. Oh, the other thing I should have told you is I used a scarf that I had. I don't know if it's a silk scarf or not. It might be a synthetic, and that's what I laid underneath. So you can see that I did it right down from the very bottom over this sort of section here, just to give again that sort of misty, layery effect. I don't know if you can even quite see up to, yeah, sorry, where I was touching you probably couldn't see it. So up here, it just gives sort of a mistiness, and it's just got it, yeah, showing through at various points around here. So no, I don't think this one. It might look okay once it's actually stitched down. Or could we do it like that? Have to cut it. We'd have to trim it a bit more. Have to trim it down by a piece. Oops, keeps sticking to my finger. Keeps sticking to my finger. What do we think about that? I don't mind it, and if I trimmed it across, it might be okay. Let's take one little snip off. Maybe we'll take that one off. Yeah, I think that's quite sweet there. Almost kind of just gives a little border to that area. Don't even mind if the fringing of the fabric's kind of sticking out underneath. So yeah, let's give that a little whirl. Hopefully I've still got you in a good position. Thread. So this is where I will actually probably put a little bit of my Yoo-hoo glue on it, just because that way I won't have to pin it, and I then don't risk that I'm going to stub my fingers. So yeah, I think it's quite sweet there. Again, you don't have to do that much embellishment, but when I've got little pieces like that, I do quite like to include them in where I can. So I'll just hold that in place, and I might use my little fine, oops, just dropped the milliner's needle on the floor, but I can see where it went. Now it's just the challenge of picking it up and not stepping my finger in the process. Okay. And again, I could just start this off, and then I won't keep you because we are almost up to the hour mark, but I'll just get this stitching down. But hopefully you've enjoyed seeing it come together, and it is amazing as you start to tack your pieces down. Everything just really hangs together beautifully. It becomes quite cohesive, so even where you're adding these elements in, they start to sit with the piece. So I'm just going to use my angling stitch. I'll sort of just work backwards and forwards just to get this tacked Tacked into position. I can always do some extra stitches over the edge of it later. So just doing the longer stitches at the back, but with the milliner's needle, which does have a bit of nice bend in it, I'm able to just sort of angle it through and catch the blanket underneath, but not needing to go through the back of the, not be lifting up the fabric to pick up my needle from the back and bring it to the front. So it can sometimes make it much easier when you're working on a big piece like this, not having to wrangle it so much. Oops. Didn't actually come up through the fabric there, but I can now that I'm at the front. Can just catch a bit of the fabric. Oops. I'll just get this stitched down and then I can say farewell for now, and I'm sure I'll come back with more of these. Hopefully you don't get in fact I've just unthreaded my needle, so we'll call it quits there. Hopefully you don't get bored of this piece. I'll make sure that I'm always kind of working on something new and showing you new techniques, but I'll probably intersperse some other little projects in along the way, as well as obviously the Roxy field notes. I'm still going to be doing that also. Thanks everyone. I hope you're having a beautiful day, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.